She had been walking the same streets every day for years, passing the same shops and waving to the same people. She worked long hours at a job that barely paid enough to cover the bills and the rent. She often wondered if there was more to life than the routine she had fallen into, but the thought of taking a risk scared her. She liked stability, even if it was tiring, even if it made her feel stuck. One morning, she read a small notice in the local paper about a ranch being sold for $1. She laughed to herself, thinking it must be a mistake or a gimmick, but something about the idea lingered in her mind. She had always loved the idea of wide-open spaces and animals. Even if she had never owned a farm, she could not stop thinking about the possibility of leaving behind the gray buildings and narrow streets for a place where the air was fresh and the land stretched far and wide. She decided to visit the ranch out of curiosity. She had no plans to buy it. She just wanted to see if it was real. The road to the ranch was long and dusty, winding past fields that had not been tended in years. The sun shone bright, making the dust sparkle in the air. She felt a strange excitement as the city faded behind her and the open land unfolded. In front of her, when she arrived, she saw a small farmhouse with peeling paint and broken windows. The fence around the property was falling apart and weeds grew in thick clusters across the yard. The barn leaned slightly to one side and the paint had long since faded. She stepped out of the car. Feeling both nervous and curious, the place seemed almost alive with history, though it was quiet and empty. She walked slowly through the property, imagining what it could be. She saw old tools scattered across the yard and a few empty water troughs. The smell of earth and hay filled her nose. She felt a connection to the land. Even though she knew nothing about running a ranch, she wondered who had lived here before and what stories the walls could tell. She could almost see the echoes of laughter and hard work of the people who had once cared for this place. Inside the barn, she noticed movement in the shadows. A horse stood there, its coat dusty and tangled. Its eyes watched her carefully, as if deciding whether she could be trusted. She took a step closer, and the horse shifted slightly, but did not run away. She felt her heart beat faster. There was something about the animal that called to her. She felt a strange bond with it, a feeling she could not explain. She spoke softly to the horse, asking its name, but no one answered. She knelt down and extended her hand slowly. The horse sniffed her fingers and then nuzzled her hand gently. She smiled, feeling a warmth she had not felt in a long time. She had never owned a horse before and knew little about them, but she sensed this one needed her just as much as she needed it. She spent hours exploring the property, walking through fields that had grown wild. She imagined planting flowers and vegetables and fixing the fences. She pictured the horse running freely through the fields. She imagined mornings with sunlight streaming through the windows and nights under a sky full of stars. She felt a hope she had not felt in years. By the end of the day, she sat on the porch looking at the land. She realized that she could take a risk and change her life. She thought about the dollar price and how strange it seemed to offer something so full of potential for almost nothing. She thought about what it could mean for her future, and she felt a flutter of excitement mixed with fear. She did not decide immediately. She wanted to think carefully about what it would mean to take on a ranch and a horse. She walked back through the fields one last time, noticing the shadows and the quiet rustle of leaves in the wind. She felt the horse watching her from the barn, and she waved slowly. The horse shifted its head, as if acknowledging her. That at night she drove home thinking about the dollar ranch and the hidden horse. She could not get the image of the land or the animal out of her mind. She imagined waking up to the sound of hooves on the ground and the smell of fresh earth. She imagined working hard and learning new things and feeling alive in a way she had not in years. Over the next few days, she could not stop thinking about the ranch. She called the local office to ask questions and learned more about the property. It needed repairs, but the owners had left everything behind. She could almost see herself working there, learning about the land and the animals day by day. She imagined how hard it would be, but also how rewarding. Finally, she made the decision. She would buy the ranch for $1. She realized it was not just about the price. It was about a chance to start over and to believe in something new. She thought about the horse that had hidden in the barn and how they could both have a fresh start together. She signed the papers and became the owner of the ranch. She drove back down the long, dusty road, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. The sun was setting, painting the sky in soft colors. She looked at the farmhouse and the barn. imagined what it could become. She felt a sense of purpose she had not known before that night. She stayed in the small town nearby, thinking about the next day. She would return to the ranch and start the work. She knew it would be difficult, but she also knew it would be worth it. She felt a connection to the land and to the hidden horse that seemed to be waiting for Hertha. Next morning, she returned to the ranch with tools and supplies ready to begin. She walked through the fields and into the barn to see the horse standing quietly. She approached slowly and spoke softly. The horse stepped closer and nuzzled her shoulder. She felt a bond forming stronger than anything she had felt before. She spent the day cleaning the barn and fixing the fences. She discovered old equipment and learned how to use it. She carried water and feed and felt her muscles ache, but in a satisfying way. She realized that this work was different from anything she had done before. It required patience and care and gave her a sense of accomplishment. She worked from morning until evening and watched the sun set behind the hills. She felt tired but happy. She had made the first step in changing her life. She looked at the horse and whispered words of encouragement, even though she knew it could not understand everything. She felt that they were partners in this new journey. Days turned into weeks, and she continued to work on the ranch. Every small success brought a feeling of pride. She mended fences, cleared weeds, and learned about feeding and caring for the animals each day. She grew more confident and more connected to the land. And the bond with the horse deepened as she spent time brushing its coat and speaking gently. She realized that she had found something more than just a property and a horse. She had found a purpose and a new life full of possibilities. She never imagined that $1 ranch and a hidden horse could change her world. She felt grateful and determined. She looked out over the fields, feeling the wind on her face, and knew that this was just the beginning of a journey that would shape the rest of her life. The days at the ranch became filled with work and learning. She discovered that running a ranch was harder than she had imagined, but also more rewarding. Each morning she woke early to feed the animals and check the fences. The horse that had been hidden in the barn seemed to watch her closely. Its eyes followed her every move, as if studying her intentions. She named the horse Destiny because she felt that their meeting had not been an accident. She started to spend more time with Destiny, brushing its coat and cleaning its hooves. The horse was cautious at first and moved slowly away whenever she approached, but she was patient. She learned to speak softly and move calmly. She understood that trust could not be forced. It had to grow naturally day by day. As the days passed, the bond between them grew stronger. She noticed small changes in Destiny. Its coat became shinier and its movements more confident. It began to follow her around the barn and even nuzzled her hand when she reached out. She felt a deep sense of joy seeing the transformation and realized that this horse was more than just an animal. It was a companion and a teacher. She explored more of the ranch, discovering old pathways and hidden corners. She found an overgrown garden behind the house and imagined restoring it. She saw possibilities everywhere. Despite the decay and neglect, she began to dream of planting flowers and vegetables and turning the ranch into a welcoming place for people and animals alike. Neighbors began to notice her efforts, and some came to offer help. They shared tips about caring for the land and the animals and told stories about the ranch from years past. She listened carefully, absorbing their advice and learning from their experiences. She realized that she was not alone and that a small community existed around the ranch ready to support her. One afternoon, she found an old saddle in the barn. She cleaned it carefully and wondered if Destiny could be ridden again. She knew that it would take time and patience, but she felt that the horse was ready for new challenges. She spent hours preparing the barn and the fields, making sure that everything was safe and comfortable. She began to walk Destiny around the ranch, leading it gently and speaking reassuringly. She noticed how the horse responded to her tone and her touch. It began to move with more confidence and seemed to enjoy the time spent together. She felt a sense of pride in every small step they took. She realized that healing and trust were slow processes, but worth every effort. She also learned about the importance of feeding and watering the animals properly. She studied books and talked to experienced ranchers. She discovered that the land required care and attention, and that every action had consequences for the animals and the plants. She felt a new respect for the work that went into maintaining a ranch and for the creatures that depended On her evenings were quiet and peaceful. She would sit on the porch watching the sunset, feeling the wind on her face, and listening to the sounds of the land. The horse would stand nearby, calm and content. She felt a connection to the earth and to the rhythm of life at the ranch. She realized that this place was teaching her patience, resilience, and a deeper understanding of herself. She began to keep a journal, writing about the daily tasks, the progress with Destiny, and her thoughts about the future. She recorded small victories and challenges and noticed how much she was learning. She saw herself growing stronger and more confident. She began to believe that she could overcome obstacles and create something meaningful from the abandoned land. She decided to explore the possibility of entering Destiny in small local competitions. She had heard that the horse had a history of training and could perform well if guided properly. She did not know if she was ready, but she felt that it was time to challenge both herself and the horse. She began planning, carefully studying techniques and preparing the horse. Gradually, each day brought new lessons. She learned to read Destiny's body language, understanding its moods and reactions. She discovered that trust could be fragile and that patience was essential. She adjusted her approach whenever the horse seemed nervous or hesitant and celebrated every small success with care and attention. She repaired broken fences and cleaned old water troughs, making sure that every corner of the ranch was safe and comfortable for the animals. She learned to fix machinery and mend tools, discovering new skills she had never imagined. She felt proud of the hard work, and the changes she could see happening around her. Destiny began to show signs of excitement when she approached in the morning. It would trot gently to her and nuzzle her hand. She noticed a spark in its eyes that seemed to say it trusted her completely. She felt a deep sense of connection and realized that the bond between them was more than just care. It was a friendship built on understanding and respect. As she worked the land, she found herself dreaming bigger. She imagined expanding the ranch and welcoming visitors who wanted to experience the calm and beauty of the countryside. She pictured teaching others about caring for horses and the UHS, creating a place where people could learn and grow. She felt a new sense of purpose, filling her heart. She also noticed that working with Destiny helped her understand herself better. She reflected on her past struggles and realized that she had been afraid to take risks. She saw that the ranch and the horse were teaching her courage and patience, and that these lessons would stay with her in every part of life. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. She continued her work with determination and care. Every new task brought challenges, but also satisfaction. She learned to trust her instincts and to rely on her growing knowledge. She felt a sense of pride in every improvement she made to the ranch and every step Destiny took forward. She began to dream of the future competitions, imagining the horse performing with grace and skill. She practiced walking and trotting together, focusing on communication and trust. She discovered that every small improvement was important and that patience was more valuable than speed. She felt excitement and anticipation for what lay ahead. The ranch was slowly transforming. The land looked cared for and welcoming. The barn was clean and organized, and Destiny's coat gleamed in the sunlight. She noticed that people in the community began to take an interest in the ranch and the hidden horse that had come alive under her care. She felt encouraged and inspired to keep going. Evenings were still quiet, but now filled with contentment. She would sit near Destiny, watching the stars appear in the sky. She thought about how far they had come and how much they had learned together. She felt gratitude for the journey and excitement for the adventures that were yet to come. Bond with Destiny continued to grow stronger. She began to understand its moods and needs more clearly. She felt that the horse was not just an animal, but a partner in this new chapter of her life. She realized that together they were creating something special, a place of trust, hope, and transformation. She reflected on how a simple decision to buy a dollar ranch had led to so much more. She had gained not only a home and a companion, but a purpose and a direction. She felt a quiet strength building inside her, knowing that the journey was only beginning and that the ranch and Destiny would guide her through many more challenges and triumphs. The mornings at the ranch had become her favorite time of day. She would walk through the fields, feeling the fresh air fill her lungs and hear the soft sounds of birds and animals stirring. She approached the barn, where Destiny waited, calm and alert. She smiled, seeing the horse rise gracefully to greet her. She felt a deep sense of satisfaction knowing that their daily routines had created a bond stronger than she had ever imagined. She began to plan the training sessions more seriously, knowing that if Destiny could perform well in competitions, it would take time, patience, and careful practice. She studied the techniques used by skilled trainers and tried to apply them gently. She discovered that every movement required communication and understanding, and that frustration would only set back their progress. Destiny responded to her guidance with growing confidence sometimes. The horse hesitated, and she learned to step back and allow it time to adjust. She noticed that small gestures like gentle touches and soft words encouraged progress more than force or pressure. She felt a sense of pride each time Destiny followed her lead. Willingly, the work was physically demanding but rewarding. She repaired more fences and cleaned the fields, preparing spaces for practice. She noticed how much the land had changed under her care and felt a growing sense of accomplishment. The ranch was no longer just a place to live. It had become a living project that reflected her efforts and dreams. She discovered old equipment in the barn that could be used to improve training. She cleaned and repaired saddles and bridles carefully, making sure that every detail was safe and functional. She felt satisfaction in learning these skills and realized that every small step contributed to the larger goal of preparing Destiny for new challenges. Neighbors began to stop by more often, offering advice and encouragement. They shared stories about local competitions and gave tips on training and care. She listened, attentively absorbing their knowledge and feeling grateful for their support. She realized that she was building a network of people who cared about her success and the well-being of the horse. She began leading Destiny through simple exercises, walking in circles, trotting and practicing, stopping and turning. She learned to watch the horse's reactions, noticing its subtle movements and expressions. She discovered that Destiny responded best to calm, consistent signals, and that patience was essential for trust to grow. As the days passed, she noticed more of Destiny's personality. She realized that the horse was intelligent, playful, and sensitive. It had a natural grace and an eagerness to learn that shone through. Once it felt safe and understood, she felt a sense of joy watching the horse discover its own abilities and knowing that she had helped create this confidence. She started imagining entering small local competitions. Even if it seemed frightening, she knew that the experience would teach both her and Destiny more than anything else could. She made careful plans, studying the routes and rules and preparing the necessary equipment. She felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. Knowing that this step could change their journey forever, she began spending longer periods in the fields, practicing walking and trotting in patterns. She noticed that Destiny responded better in open spaces and allowed the horse time to rest when needed. She learned that respecting the animal's limits created better results and a stronger bond. She celebrated each small improvement, feeling that every step forward was a victory. She reflected on how much she had learned about herself in this process. She realized that patience, courage, and determination were qualities she had always had but had not fully recognized. She felt proud of her ability to face challenges and adapt to new situations. She understood that the journey was teaching her more than she could have imagined. Training was not always easy. Sometimes Destiny became nervous or hesitant, and she had to find ways to calm and reassure it. She experimented with different techniques, observing which worked best. She discovered that quiet confidence and consistent care created trust faster than any force or pressure. She felt rewarded when the horse began to respond with ease. Also learned about the importance of routine and consistency. She set schedules for feeding, training, and rest, ensuring that Destiny felt secure and confident. She noticed how much the horse relied on her guidance and how quickly it adapted to a steady rhythm. She felt responsible, but also empowered, knowing that her actions shaped the horse's well-being. As she prepared for competitions, she realized that her own confidence was growing. She began to believe in her ability to lead and guide Destiny. She noticed a new sense of calm and focus within herself and realized that the challenges had strengthened her resolve. She felt a connection to the land and the horse that went beyond physical tasks. It was a partnership built on trust, respect, and shared experience. Neighbors continued to offer support. Some even coming to watch the training sessions, they shared encouragement and tips, and told stories of horses they had trained or seen in competitions. She listened carefully, valuing their experience and feeling. Motivated by their interest, she realized that the ranch was becoming known for its efforts, and that Destiny's story was spreading slowly through the community. She discovered more about Destiny's past through old records. She found in the barn she learned that the horse had been trained for competitions before being abandoned. She realized that with patience and care they could revive these skills and allow Destiny to shine once again. She felt a renewed determination to help the horse reach its potential. Each day brought small victories, she noticed. Destiny trotting more confidently, responding to commands more quickly, and showing signs of enthusiasm. She felt a sense of joy seeing the transformation and knowing that their bond was deepening. She realized that the journey was about growth and understanding as much as achievement. She began to teach Destiny more complex exercises, carefully guiding the horse through patterns and movements. She focused on communication and clarity, ensuring that Destiny understood every command. She discovered that repetition and patience were key, and that progress came gradually. She felt proud of the trust and cooperation they were building. Evenings were spent reflecting on the day and planning for the next. She walked through the fields, watching the sun dip behind the hills, feeling grateful for the opportunity and the connection she had found. She noticed the beauty of the land and the calm presence of Destiny nearby. She felt a sense of peace and purpose that had been missing in her life for years. She began to imagine traveling to nearby towns for competitions, picturing Destiny performing gracefully and confidently. She thought about the lessons they would learn and the experiences they would share. She felt excitement mixed with nervousness, knowing that this step would test both her and the horse in new ways. The ranch was transforming. Along with Destiny, she noticed improvements in the land and the barn, and felt satisfaction in every small change. She realized that every action she took mattered, and that her efforts were shaping a future full of possibilities. She felt a sense of pride in creating something meaningful from what had once been abandoned. The bond between her and Destiny had grown beyond words. She noticed how the horse anticipated her movements, responded to her touch, and seemed to understand her intentions. She realized that trust, patience, and care had created a partnership that was stronger than she had ever imagined. She felt a deep sense of fulfillment, knowing that they were growing together. She reflected on the journey from the first day she had arrived at the ranch to the present. She realized that every struggle, every small victory, and every moment of patience had brought them to this point. She felt gratitude for the lessons learned and excitement for the challenges and triumphs yet to come. She knew that together they could face anything, and that the ranch and the horse had become an inseparable part of her life. The ranch had begun to feel like a home in every sense. She had learned the rhythms of the land and of Destiny. She could anticipate the needs of the animals and understand the changes in the wind and weather. She felt more confident with every task and every decision. She was becoming a part of the ranch as much as the ranch was becoming a part of her. She continued to train Destiny daily, focusing on confidence and control. They walked through patterns, trotted in circles, and practiced stopping and turning. She watched closely for signs of hesitation or discomfort. She learned that understanding Destiny's moods was just as important as teaching commands, and that patience and consistency built trust faster than anything else. The community began to take notice of her efforts. Some neighbors visited to watch the progress and offer encouragement. Others shared stories of competitions and local events. She listened carefully, learning what she could and feeling motivated by their interest in her work. She realized that the ranch was becoming known for more than just its dollar price. It was a place of hope and transformation. She began to prepare for small local competitions. Thinking carefully about every detail, she made lists of the equipment needed and the tasks to complete before the event. She practiced with Destiny patiently and consistently, focusing on communication and responsiveness. She discovered that the more she trusted the horse, the better it performed, and that their bond was the key to success. Day brought small victories. Destiny grew more confident, trotting with energy and responding quickly to commands. She felt pride in every step and noticed how the horse's personality shone through. Its intelligence and sensitivity were becoming apparent, and she felt joy seeing it grow stronger and more graceful. She realized that the journey was as important as the competition itself. She repaired and cleaned the barn more thoroughly, preparing it for visitors and training. She organized the tools and equipment, making the ranch safe and welcoming. She realized that a clean, organized space made training more effective and allowed both her and Destiny to focus on learning and growth. She felt a sense of accomplishment seeing the changes in the environment she practiced, riding Destiny slowly and carefully, focusing on balance and control. She learned to feel the movements of the horse and to respond to them intuitively. She discovered that riding was not about force, but about understanding and partnership. She felt a sense of connection and trust that grew stronger with each passing day. Neighbors continued to offer support, sharing advice and encouragement. They told stories of successful trainers and horses who had overcome challenges. She absorbed the knowledge and applied it to her own work. She felt inspired by their belief in her and in Destiny, and realized that community support was as important as individual effort. She explored the fields and trails around the ranch, imagining how Destiny could perform. In different settings, she practiced trotting along paths and turning around obstacles. She learned that exposure to new environments helped the horse build confidence and resilience. She felt satisfaction seeing Destiny navigate the terrain with skill and assurance. She also focused on her own preparation, understanding that calm and focused leadership was essential. She practiced patience and mindfulness, recognizing that her attitude influenced Destiny's behavior. She discovered that every day brought lessons not just for the horse but for herself. She felt stronger and more capable with every challenge she faced. Training became more advanced. She introduced new patterns and exercises, gradually ensuring that Destiny could master each step. Before moving forward, she noticed that the horse began to anticipate her movements and respond with understanding. She felt joy in seeing the partnership develop and realized that trust and respect were the foundation of every success. She began to imagine traveling to nearby competitions, visualizing the routines and the excitement of performing in front of others. She felt nervous but motivated. She prepared carefully, planning every step and making sure that Destiny was ready for the challenges ahead. She realized that preparation and patience would determine their success. She reflected on the progress made since the first day she had arrived at the ranch. She thought about the bond formed with Destiny and the improvements in the land and barn. She felt pride in the work accomplished and gratitude for the lessons learned. She understood that every challenge had strengthened her determination and built her skills. Evenings were spent reflecting on the day's work and preparing for tomorrow. She walked through the fields, watching the sunset, feeling calm and fulfilled. She noticed how the ranch had transformed and how Destiny had grown in confidence and grace. She felt a deep sense of satisfaction knowing that every effort had contributed to this change. She began to connect more with the local community, attending small events and talking to other horse owners. She shared her experiences and learned from theirs. She realized that the ranch was not just a place for her and Destiny, but a place where others could be inspired. She felt a sense of purpose in contributing to the community and helping others discover the joy of working with animals. She continued to observe Destiny, noticing subtleties in its behavior and moods. She learned to adjust her approach based on these observations. She discovered that every horse has its own personality and needs, and that understanding these traits was essential for successful training. She felt satisfaction in seeing Destiny respond positively to her guidance. The competition day approached. She felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. She prepared Destiny, carefully checking equipment and ensuring the horse was comfortable and confident. She practiced the routines they would perform, focusing on communication and responsiveness. She felt ready to face the challenge together. She realized that the journey to this point had taught her resilience, courage, and patience. She reflected on the decision to buy the Dollar Ranch and recognized that it had been the start of a transformative experience. She felt grateful for the land, the horse, and the opportunity to create a meaningful life. Ranch had become a place of learning, growth, and trust. She noticed the improvements in the fields, barn, and horse. She understood that every small effort had contributed to this change, and that the partnership with Destiny was the most rewarding aspect of all. She felt excitement for the future, knowing that the journey was only beginning. The day had arrived for the local competition. She woke early, feeling a mixture of excitement and calm. She prepared Destiny, carefully checking the hooves, the saddle, and the harness. She spoke softly to the horse, offering reassurance and encouragement. She noticed how Destiny responded, nuzzling her hand and moving confidently. She felt a surge of pride. Knowing how far they had come together, they traveled slowly to the competition grounds, taking time to allow Destiny to adjust to the new environment. She noticed the sounds and movements of other horses and people and guided Destiny calmly through it all. She realized that exposure to new surroundings was part of the training, and that patience would help the horse stay confident once they arrived. She prepared a small area for practice, letting Destiny walk and trot around to become comfortable with the sights and sounds. She observed how the horse responded to the ground and the wind, and adjusted her approach to make it feel safe. She felt satisfaction seeing Destiny move freely and confidently. The first exercises were simple walking and trotting patterns. Destiny responded well, moving gracefully. She focused on clear communication. Through gentle touches and calm words, she noticed how the horse anticipated her signals and began to perform with a sense of ease. She felt pride in the partnership and the progress they had made. The exercises became more complex. She introduced turns and changes in pace. Destiny followed her guidance with growing confidence. She watched every movement, carefully adjusting her own position and timing. She discovered that trust and patience continued to be the most important aspects of success, and that rushing would only hinder progress. She realized that the experience was teaching her more than just training skills. She felt a sense of calm and clarity being with Destiny, focusing on the present moment. She understood that the bond between them was built on understanding and respect, and that every small step forward was an achievement in itself. Other competitors and spectators began to notice their calm approach and the connection between horse and rider. She felt encouraged by the interest, but remained focused on the exercises. She understood that comparison to others was unnecessary and that their journey was unique and valuable. She felt gratitude for the opportunity to show what they had achieved. Destiny responded to new challenges with grace, moving through patterns and obstacles smoothly. She noticed that each small success increased the horse's confidence and enthusiasm. She felt joy in seeing the animal enjoy the process and realized that the experience was as much about growth and learning as it was about winning. She continued through the day, guiding Destiny with steady hands and calm words. She adjusted to every movement and reaction of the horse, learning to respond intuitively. She discovered that every subtle change in posture or expression could indicate how Destiny felt and what it needed. She felt connected and confident, knowing that she understood the horse deeply. By the afternoon, they completed the exercises with ease. Destiny moved with grace and focus, following her guidance perfectly. She felt pride and relief at their progress, noticing how the horse seemed happy and energized. She understood that the bond they had formed was stronger than any external measure, and that the journey itself was the greatest reward. After the exercises, she allowed Destiny to rest, grazing calmly in the field. She observed the surroundings and reflected on the journey from the first day. She had arrived at the ranch. She thought about the challenges they had faced, the progress they had made, and the trust that had developed. She felt gratitude and a sense of accomplishment. Visitors approached, curious about the horse and the story of the Dollar Ranch. She spoke quietly about the challenges and successes of caring for Destiny and restoring the ranch. She noticed how people were inspired by the story and the transformation of the horse. She felt a sense of purpose, knowing that their experience could motivate others to take risks and care for animals. Evening approached, and she guided Destiny back to the ranch, slowly allowing time to relax. She reflected on the day, noticing how far they had come together. She thought about the bond of trust and communication that had been built, and the sense of fulfillment it brought. She realized that this partnership had become a central part of her life and identity. She walked through the fields, noticing the land under her care. The fences were repaired, and the barn was tidy. She felt a sense of pride in the transformation of the property and the growth of the horse. She understood that every small action over the months had led to this point, and that perseverance and care were the keys to success. She spent time brushing Destiny and speaking softly to the horse, appreciating the calm presence and cooperation. She noticed the glimmer of intelligence and awareness in the horse's eyes. She felt deep satisfaction, knowing that their connection had been nurtured with patience and love. She thought about the future, imagining more competitions and new challenges for Destiny. She knew that with continued care and guidance, the horse could continue to grow and excel. She also thought about expanding the ranch and helping others learn about animal care and trust. She felt inspired by the possibilities and confident in her ability to continue the journey. Night fell, and she sat quietly watching the stars. The ranch was peaceful, and the horse rested nearby. She reflected on the transformation from the abandoned property and hidden horse to the thriving partnership and restored land. She felt gratitude for the opportunity and the courage that had led her to take a chance on the ranch. She realized that the decision to act had changed her life in ways she had never imagined. Understood that the journey was ongoing and that every day offered lessons and opportunities for growth. She felt excitement for the adventures to come, knowing that together they could face challenges and continue to build trust and skill. She appreciated the quiet strength and resilience that had developed in both herself and Destiny. The ranch had become a home, a place of learning, and a symbol of possibility. She felt connection to the land and the horse and recognized the importance of patience and perseverance in achieving dreams. She understood that success was not measured by awards but by the bond formed and the growth experienced along the way. She spent the night planning what the next day, imagining exercises and activities that would continue to strengthen the partnership with Destiny. She felt motivated to maintain the routines that had created progress and to explore new opportunities for learning and growth. She understood that consistency and care would ensure continued success. The story of the Dollar Ranch and the hidden horse had become more than a personal journey. It was a testament to the power of patience, trust, and courage. She felt pride in what had been achieved and excitement for what lay ahead. She knew that the bond with Destiny and the transformation of the ranch were lasting symbols of resilience and possibility. She finally rested, knowing that every effort had led to this moment. She felt calm and fulfilled, appreciating the connection with Destiny and the beauty of the ranch. She understood that the journey had taught her more about herself than anything else, and that the partnership with the horse would continue to shape her life in meaningful ways. The Dollar Ranch and the hidden horse had become a story of hope, transformation, and purpose. She felt gratitude for the courage to take a risk, for the dedication to nurture trust, and for the joy of discovering a partnership that changed her life. She looked at the land and the horse and knew that together they had found a destiny she had never imagined. After the competition, she returned to the ranch feeling a mix of pride and reflection. She realized that the experience had taught her lessons about trust, patience, and perseverance that went beyond training a horse. She spent the morning walking through the fields, observing the land, noticing small changes in the grass and the paths. She felt a deep connection to the earth and to Destiny, who walked calmly beside her. She decided to focus on expanding her routines, introducing new exercises. For Destiny, she led the horse through patterns that included more turns and varied speeds.
Ouch.
She discovered that these changes helped keep the horse attentive and engaged. She felt a sense of accomplishment seeing Destiny respond with confidence and enthusiasm. The barn became a place of learning. She spent time organizing tools and cleaning spaces, making sure that everything was ready for new challenges. She noticed that a clean environment not only helped her work efficiently but also made the animals feel safe and comfortable. She felt satisfaction in seeing the transformation of the ranch and the improved well-being of the horse. She began planning for longer journeys through the surrounding fields, imagining trails and exercises that would test both her and Destiny. She learned to anticipate obstacles and adapt to uneven ground. She realized that exposing the horse to new experiences strengthened its confidence and built trust between them. She felt excitement for these new adventures. Training continued daily with careful attention to detail. She observed Destiny closely, noticing small changes in behavior and body language. She adjusted her approach whenever needed, ensuring that the horse remained calm and engaged. She discovered that every interaction was an opportunity to strengthen their bond and that patience was essential for growth. She also focused on her own abilities, improving her balance, coordination, and understanding of horse behavior. She realized that a confident rider created a confident horse. She practiced mindfulness and calmness, recognizing that her state of mind affected Destiny's response? She felt satisfaction in seeing progress in both herself and the horse neighbors and visitors. Occasionally came to watch, she shared her experiences explaining the importance of trust, communication, and care. She noticed how people were inspired by the transformation and the partnership with Destiny. She felt motivated by their interest and realized that her story could encourage others to take risks and nurture connections with animals. She spent afternoons exploring new areas of the ranch, discovering hidden corners, and imagining projects. She thought about planting flowers and trees, creating spaces where both people and animals could enjoy the surroundings. She felt a sense of purpose, knowing that the ranch was becoming more than a home. It was becoming a place of life, and learning she began to introduce more complex exercises for Destiny, incorporating circles, trotting, gentle gallops. She observed how the horse responded to changes in pace and direction. She learned to use subtle signals and timing to guide Destiny. She felt a deep sense of pride. Watching the horse move with grace and confidence, evenings were spent reflecting on the day's progress and planning for the next. She walked through the fields, enjoying the calm and listening to the sounds of nature. She felt gratitude for the opportunity to live in such a place and for the bond she had formed with Destiny. She understood that their partnership was built on trust, patience, and shared experience. She imagined visiting nearby towns with Destiny, participating in more competitions and events. She planned carefully, thinking about routes, schedules, and necessary preparations. She realized that every experience, even small ones, would contribute to the horse's growth and confidence. She felt excitement and determination to continue pushing forward. She also worked on her communication with Destiny, using gentle gestures and calm words. She learned to read subtle signs of stress or hesitation and adapted her approach. She discovered that responsiveness and empathy created a stronger partnership. She felt joy in seeing Destiny grow more comfortable and skilled. Every day the ranch continued to transform. She noticed improvements in the fields and the barn and felt pride in the progress made. She realized that her efforts were shaping not only the land, but also the character and confidence of Destiny. She understood that growth was gradual and required consistent care and attention. She began to plan small events at the ranch, inviting local enthusiasts to watch and learn. She demonstrated exercises and shared knowledge about caring for horses and land. She felt inspired seeing the interest and curiosity of others. She realized that the ranch was becoming a place of education and inspiration. She spent time strengthening the trust and bond with Destiny through simple routines and gentle exercises. She learned that consistency and kindness were more effective than force. She observed how the horse responded to calm leadership and adjusted her actions to encourage confidence. She felt a sense of fulfillment in the harmony they shared. Days passed with continuous learning and growth. She noticed how Destiny became more agile and responsive, and how the land responded to care and attention. She felt satisfaction in the visible changes and in the confidence they were building together. She understood that every small effort contributed to a larger journey of success and connection. She began experimenting with new techniques for training, focusing on balance, control, and responsiveness. She introduced exercises that challenged both herself and Destiny in safe ways. She learned that testing boundaries while maintaining calm and patience strengthened trust. She felt excitement in discovering new abilities. In both of them, she also spent time reflecting on the past months, the journey from the abandoned ranch to the thriving partnership with Destiny. She realized how much she had learned about resilience, patience, and courage. She felt gratitude for the lessons and the growth that came from taking a risk and believing in possibilities. The evenings were quiet times for observation and reflection. She watched the stars and listened to the sounds of the ranch. She noticed small movements of the animals and the calm presence of Destiny nearby. She felt a deep sense of peace and connection, appreciating the life they had built together. She began to consider the long-term future, planning additional projects and exercises. She imagined expanding the ranch and creating spaces for others to learn and experience the bond with animals. She felt motivated by the possibilities and confident in her ability to continue the journey with patience and care. Every day brought small victories and learning experiences. She noticed how Destiny's confidence grew, and how the land became more organized and welcoming. She felt pride in the progress and recognized that patience, care, and consistency were the keys to their success. She looked forward to each new day, knowing that the partnership and the journey were ongoing. She spent time teaching Destiny new patterns and routines, focusing on precision and calm execution. She observed the horse's reactions and adapted her approach. Whenever necessary, she realized that every interaction reinforced trust and understanding, and that these moments of connection were the foundation of their success. The ranch became more than a home. It was a place of growth, learning, and partnership. She felt a sense of purpose, seeing the improvements in the land and the progress in Destiny. She understood that their journey was not just about competitions or training, but about building trust, resilience, and a shared life. As the months went on, she continued to explore, train, and reflect. She noticed how Destiny grew stronger and more confident, and how the land became a space of life and opportunity. Growth in the adventures yet to come, she appreciated every small step and recognized the importance of patience and dedication. Dollar Ranch and the Hidden Horse had become symbols of possibility and transformation. She felt gratitude for the decision to take a risk and for the lessons learned along the way. She looked at the land and at Destiny, realizing that together they had created a life full of trust, hope, and potential. She felt calm, fulfilled, and ready for the next chapter in their journey.